And we're live. I am live here with Brennan Aquila, defensive tackle for his high school team. And welcome to the Impact Recruiting Podcast and YouTube channel. Appreciate you folks tuning in today. And we got a very interesting young man here that I've known for a very long time, I think very highly of. And I think that any of you coaches that are looking at this, you would do yourself a favor by looking this guy up and figuring out how to get a hold of him. Brennan, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good. Had practice and we're here now.
That's kind of how every day goes, isn't it? It's like, yeah. Hey, when I go to school, I have practice.
School and practice.
Right
on to the pod.
Right on. Okay. Hey, I'll tell you what, I want to give everybody a little bit of background about you because I've known you for a long time. I was your coach in Rocket football, played for the Browns. Sorry about that.
not all outcome, but hey, Browns is what it was.
Yeah, right on. I remember, you coming in as just an absolute youngster, you know what I mean? And you were this little guy back then. Yeah, with these big glasses, you know what I mean? And you had gloves on, to help you catch. You remember all that?
Yeah, it was an interesting look. My sports guy. Yep.
Exactly. But I got to tell you, from the get-go, you were one of the most coachable kids that I ever had on one of my teams. Do you feel like you still are that way, or have you, turned into kind of a independent guy? You don't want to listen to coaching anymore. How do you feel about that?
I would say I'm still like that. Considering I've had to switch positions, I would say that being able to be coachable is a pretty strong asset of what I have and what I have this season, just in learning new things.
Okay. Now, I know that through most of your football career so far, you were a linebacker.
Yep.
Okay. And you played with Mike, my youngest son. So, I've watched you and him playing linebacker for quite some time. This year had kind of a unique situation come up. We needed linemen. The coach was kind of like, hey, looking for linemen, and you stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go?
At first I was a little bit, worried about, not worried, but, I was just not expecting to be called up for that position. But as time went on and through the winter practices and, spring practices, I learned a lot. And as you said, coachable moments happened and just was able to figure out how the position worked. And now we're using that in the season right now. So it's been going good.
That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I've got to watch you play quite a bit. You look good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, when you made the switch, what was for you personally, what was the biggest challenge about making that shift after playing linebacker for so long?
I'd say it was learning how to use my hands. Comparatively, I think to any other position, D lineman, the main part of the position is being able to use their hands effectively, to punch off the lineman, get around them, swim, whatever the case is in the play. Linebacker, you have to use your hands, but nowhere near as much as D lineman. Every play, you're engaged with hitting the guy across from you. So it was definitely a brand new experience.
So how do you feel you've adapted to that so far? You're halfway through the season. You feel like that's going well for you?
Yeah. It's just every game. It's a new, person it's a new player, a new team that I'm going up against. And it's me learning new skill sets with my hands and how to use them. And it's just like a building block, building on that every game, every practice, and learning how to use my body and my hands to get around the lineman.
That's great. That's great. I know that a lot of coaches are kind of looking for that in somebody. You hear stories all the time about players who go to college and they're promised a certain position, and then the coach gets a good look at them and they say, hey, you might really be able to excel and help the team over here. That's kind of what happened to you in high school, and you didn't even flinch.
No, it was one of those things where I just went right into it. It was actually a winter morning lift, and I was called up by the linebacker coach and head coach, and we were talking about it. And next thing you know, the next practice, the next day, actually, I was running through D lineman stunts and, just drills, and it was jumping right into it just like that.
From the winter on, it happened that early. I didn't realize that.
Yep. It was actually pretty early. Obviously we weren't doing much stuff then. It was just lifting for the most part, but we'd have like, our head coach calling me over with another D lineman. We'd run through stunts or, get offs on the ball and, reaction times with what type of block it was. So it was an early process. Yeah. They jumped on that early. So
That's awesome. I really didn't realize you had that much time to prepare for it, but I mean, that had to help quite a bit.
yeah, it did. It did. Definitely was, better than, the spring or summer practices and then being told, hey, you're going to be switching now, because gave me a lot more time to mentally prepare. And, whether it was through the college camps or just even those small practices, a lot of things, it helped. It was helpful that it was done that early.
That's great. I'm glad they gave you that kind of a chance. You mentioned that this all kind of happened during weightlifting. I know you've done a lot of that. You've come a long way, man. I mean, again, it helps that I've known you for so long, from the little guy that I met, in fourth grade. But I mean, just in the last few years, you've really, developed a lot. You've gotten a lot bigger, a lot stronger. I saw you, a while ago, and I remember after having not seen you for a while going, man, what happened to him?
Yeah, I mean, like 2 years ago, sophomore year, I was like 145, and now I'm like 200, 205, so 210. So I mean, it's with football, it's bouncing around, but I mean, I was able to get in the gym and eat a lot, so eating a lot helped.
Mike said the same thing
Oh
about what
yeah,
he eats. So yeah, I think you guys are
Mike,
like-minded.
Mike eats religiously. He role model for that, I'd say, to me. So
I'm
100%.
glad to hear that. Well, I know that you've got some maxes on some lifts that, you're pretty proud of and that you've worked on. You want to tell me about some of those?
Yeah, I actually have for my body weight being, it was when I was under 200 pounds, I hit 275 on bench, and then also for back squat, I was able to hit 415, and that was pretty awesome for me. That was my recent PRs in the off season that I stand proud for.
That's great. I mean, those are nice numbers.
Yeah,
Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that.
thank you.
And
Yeah,
not at all surprised. I've watched you play. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Now I know that you're positioned pretty well for college. You've got good test scores, and I mean your grade point average is, I think you told me, it's like just under a 4 point, right? It's like 3.98. Is that right?
yeah. Right there, actually. Yep.
Okay, so you're working really hard in the classroom.
Yeah, I've been keeping up. That's always been a big standard of mine. Just always been instilled by my parents to do good in school first. So, and even our coaches, they're always like, "Hey, what comes first in football? Or what comes first? It's pen, football. So make sure you got your schoolwork done, and then football." So it's always been instilled everywhere, I feel like, around me, and important.
That's excellent. And I know that you are, considering moving on to the next level and, hoping to play some football in college. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. And from what I understand too, I know your dad pretty well, and so, as well as you, and so I know you've been in contact with some other colleges. We try to not name the colleges and stuff while we're talking on here, just because you don't want to give anything away.
yeah,
Well, this college you're talking to doesn't necessarily need to know that you're talking to this college over here also.
okay.
you know, but I know that you've been pretty active. You've had some colleges, show some interest, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you want to go to college? You've got the grades. You've got the weightlifting numbers. You've got the position. I know it bears being pointed out in our system. At Penn, especially. I know for a fact, because I've been involved in it for almost a decade, that the defensive tackles rotate. In and
Yeah,
out.
throughout the
Go
whole game, it's
ahead and
usually
talk about that. Yeah.
typically for us this season, it's a three-man rotation. Able to give one drive or a guy one drive to break or for a break is pretty beneficial just for our defense as a whole. Even doing that with the DNs, having like six guys playing the D line technically and having one guy ready for rotation on each D end and D tackle helps a ton. Keeps us fresh, and reps are even better then, more effective.
Sure. And I know that, like I said, since I've been following it for so long, I know that's commonplace. It really has nothing to do with, who's playing, when and where. They've always rotated the tackles because they want you guys fresh. What I've seen, a lot of this year is you guys putting an incredible amount of pressure on the quarterback. And I think a lot of that might be due to that rotation, because at least one of you guys is coming in totally fresh every time. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, you just got to think about how those O linemen are most likely staying in there, drive after drive. But even just one of our guys getting fresh after that, drive off is just so much more dangerous as a defense.
Yeah. And I know there's a little downside to that because, all of you guys that are rotating on the defensive, line, you don't necessarily get as much game film as everybody else. You don't get as much game time and stuff. But, by the same token, you're coming in and you're making a huge difference. And that's how the coach runs the program.
Yep. The more 4 and outs, the better.
Right. Yeah. There's been a couple of times when you guys were on the field pretty long and a couple of guys were cramping up, but not the D line, man. You guys kept coming in and just running people over.
I will say that is true. The D-line stayed strong. So,
all right, excellent. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out because it's kind of a unique situation. As you're preparing to head into college, do you have any idea what you want to study once you get there?
I'm looking into business, possibly marketing and business, but not 100% on the exact business degree yet.
Okay, but something in business for sure. You really kind of feel like you have a passion for that?
I do, yeah. I've been taking a lot of classes in high school revolving around business, and been looking at colleges due to their business along with football, their business programs along with football.
That was my next question was, what goes into looking at a college for you? What types of things are you looking for in a college university setting?
I like to, start off again with if they have a good school of business or just a good business program in general. That's obviously education first, again, even through college, because, it's going to be important in the future. So I'm definitely looking into that on the colleges. And then I'm also looking into just the team. I would like to, if I'm really thinking about going to the college, I would like to, reach out to some of the players if possible, not even just the coaches, and find out, how they feel about the school. How their team is, how they feel about the relationships, because honestly the best thing about football is having a great team. So it's like if that's there, a good education, then it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. That's good thinking. I mean, then you're getting the bird's eye firsthand, straight from the horse's mouth kind of viewpoint of what's actually happening on campus and with the team.
Yeah, I'd like to know, if I'm going to actually go ahead and commit to that, I'd like to go ahead and know what's coming and how the team works and just how it is.
And you feel like you're prepared to play football for the next 4 years to get something going with a college?
Yeah, that is the goal.
Okay, excellent. Like I said, I know physically you're capable of doing that. Grade wise, looks like you're in great shape. What is it about football? What is it about football that just makes Brennan Aquila go, man, I just want to keep doing this. I love this game. What is it?
I would have to say, again, kind of answering the last one, but I think team, everything around the team, if you have a bad practice or the game doesn't go well, you still got your teammates and, the guys that you've been grinding with and just playing with, doing everything with for the last, weeks, months, however long. And I think that's something that if there's a good team, it's a great thing to be able to fall back on and to, strive forward with on wins and, good days and just celebrate. So I think having that great team enthusiasm and energy is probably the most important thing to me.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. And also because I guess I'm not really surprised to hear that, considering you've been around a lot of these same guys for the last 8 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, Mike for at least 8 years. So for example, great friends, obviously best friends. So having him on my team is, part of that brotherhood, part of that, special team bond that we have. And there's, way more of those guys on this team that I can say the same for. And that even at a new college, eventually that bond will form. And that's, I think, the great thing about football. You get so close with the people.
That's very well said. I'm glad to hear that. You get a lot of different answers to that question, but team, man, that's what a coach wants to hear.
Yeah. It's what's important to me in that aspect.
That is excellent. Let's see. I know that there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Now, you did make the change in position to defensive tackle. Coach asked you. We've just talked about it all. As you move forward into college, do you see yourself playing a particular position as you move forward, or are you still just really open, to where it is? What's your vision, of what you're going to end up doing?
Typically, I am open to it based on what the coaches think or what they need. Talking to certain coaches right now, college coaches, and what they have asked me, It's been kind of like, hey, where do you see yourself? And then they find out that I'm playing D tackle now, thinking I was a linebacker possibly before. It seems like they have very open mindsets about me, playing both or, either one on their team in the future. It's really just about what the team needs, I would say, the future team for college would need. I'm not like closed-minded to playing linebacker again, or super open-minded to playing D tackle. Whichever one is needed. Really, it's not set in stone.
That's
but
excellent.
I have been enjoying D tackle this year. New experience.
Sure, for sure. I mean, that openness is gonna help you a lot. I think that a lot of coaches are going to hear that, and they're going to talk to you about that, and they're going to say, this guy really is willing to, go in there and be a good soldier and do whatever it is we need him to do. I think it's a pretty big deal. Yeah. All right. Now, what, I know you've talked about, wanting to eat more and stuff like that. Is there a particular dietary regimen that you've been following, or are you literally just like peanut butter and jelly sandwich and trying to gain as much as you can?
I actually did have a pretty strict, I don't want to say strict, but I had a very set in stone meal plan that I had. It was very, plain. I went pretty hardcore on it though, during especially my sophomore to junior year, when I put on like 35 pounds in the off season. And then my junior senior, I put around like 20. So I put it on, but pretty much it consists of the morning either being like eggs and a peanut butter banana sandwich. Both of those and a few other things, or I'd have a big oatmeal mix that I'd make and with certain things in that. So that definitely helped a lot. And then I'd have two like kind of lunch meals, very big in plastic containers. One would consist of like beef, broccoli, and rice. Pretty plain, but it tasted really good with the seasoning. And then the other one, just a chicken noodle, and I'd usually put some canned vegetables in there, and it would be pretty solid too. Dinner, typically whatever mom makes, keeping it simple with that, but usually pretty good. And then, protein shakes after the gym. But that's how my off season went. And then I stuck to the motto, which I always tell people when they ask, how I put on that much weight. Because like I said, I was like 145 to 180, even just my sophomore to junior. I say just as long as you are, full, that means that you are bulking well throughout the day. If you are ever hungry at all or not feeling full, then you are probably not bulking as much as you need to. I think that if you are full the whole day, then you are bulking well.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. If you're full, you can't put any more in there. That's not bad.
And if it's decent food, like I'm saying I was having, then even better, because you're doing your body that much better. And, probably putting on better muscle weight.
That's great. Well, and you've built a lot of lean muscle, because I know, you're defensive tackle. You're a bigger guy. I know that you've gotten a lot stronger and a lot larger, the last few years, but you're not fat by any means. You're not like carrying a lot of extra like fat weight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of this is lean muscle build that you're putting on.
Mm-hmm. That was, the goal in the offseason. I was like, all right, well, obviously my sophomore and junior, that was my first time ever really doing that. And it was pretty new to the gym still, even that sophomore year. So, learning how to diet and really just going off of what I was reading on the internet and just trying things. It was, I was a little worried, because I was like, holy crap, I'm putting on weight, but I don't want to get, obviously, even just from like a physical appearance, I was like, I don't want to get like fat, but working hard in the gym most days, if you work out and you're eating that much food, good things should happen as long as you're working hard. So that was just kind of like the great mix of it. But dieting is definitely the major component of it. If you can diet well and then work out, you'll do good.
That's great. I mean, those are great answers. And I really appreciate you going into detail on the plan like that. How'd you come up with that kind of plan? I mean, did you do most of that yourself? You did the research, somebody help you out? How'd you do it?
I quite literally was just watching YouTube videos and reading articles online. And Mike also would like always carry around the Tupperware. So I kind of took the original idea from him. So I will say that. But for the actual food and what I was eating, I was just pretty much going at it, putting things together, seeing how I liked it, and reading things and watching YouTube videos on it. There was nothing special about it. It was no one's like special diet plan. It was quite literally just put together by me, and I kind of followed the mindset of trying to stay full throughout most of the day, and getting a good lift in, and just working hard in the gym when I was in there.
That's great. That's really great. What kind of workout program have you been following? Is it mostly like the school's plan, and what they have? Because I know, Coach Cates over there is awesome. I know he's, got an awful lot of knowledge and that sort of thing. Is it that is an extension of that, or did you put your own routine together?
No, not really. It was more of me and just getting to the gym myself outside of school. I mean, obviously we were working out in Coach Cates, and it is a great weights program. It's got a new gym and our new weights room and everything. But I would say that my passion for like weightlifting definitely expanded once that sophomore year in the gym hit. I would say I was in there, every once in a while before then, but then it became like daily, and that's when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And I think it was more or less just 3 days. It was literally just chest, back, legs, and it's changed a little bit now, but pretty much that's all it was at that point.
Excellent. Okay.
Consistency.
Exactly. Speaking of consistency, you've got the eating plan, you've got the weight plan, you've got everything you've accomplished so far. The big question for a lot of guys, and Caden talked about this a lot, my oldest son in our first episode. He recommends that everybody has to really sort of ask themselves that question and say, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Am I ready to do this for another 4 years in order to keep playing? Now, I'm assuming the answer to that is yes, since you're on this podcast. But how do you feel about that and the potential changes you may have to make as you move forward into college?
I mean, I see it all as an opportunity, really. I don't think of anything as negative. Obviously, going to a new place, you could say different food system, I guess, or different weight room, whatever, different team. That's all just an opportunity. It's not like a negative thing. There's good things to come out of it.
That's great. Sounds like you're ready to go, man. I got to be honest. Let me ask you this, because a lot of recruiters get a lot of the information that we're talking about right now. They can get your lifts, they can get your grade point average, they can get your test scores, they can get your times in the 40, things like that. But what one or two, or what facts are there about Brennan that a coach isn't going to know, that you want to make sure that any future coach who's looking at you right now should know?
I guess I'd like to start with probably going back to even just that sophomore year. Obviously, being a sophomore on any football team is pretty, I don't know if I want to say daunting or anything, but you're at the bottom of the barrel, right? You're at the bottom. 140, 145 pounds at the time was pretty, it was pretty light for a linebacker. It was going up against these seniors at a 100+ man team school. So it was definitely I would definitely say that I was able to put in work, and again, consistency throughout the gym, eating, and just kind of showing, I guess really my overall dedication to the team and bettering myself, because I had to put in a lot of work during the off seasons, and was learning a lot about myself to get to where I am right now. And putting on that weight was obviously a big deal for me. I also had strong motivation, not only from football, but I lost one of my good friends not too long before that. And that was kind of where a lot of my motivation for lifting came from. It was just kind of a good way to release stress and anger. And I started finding a motivation through the gym, through football, and it kind of just all correlated together. So it did work out well, and made me more of who I am. So it is a good thing that happened through it.
Yeah. And I know who you're talking about, obviously. We've known each other a long time. So so when that happened, I mean, overcoming adversity and things like that is something that any coach wants to hear about, because you've had to deal with some things. You haven't just had the, some perfect little upbringing where, it's all, roses and rainbows. You've had a couple of things happen like that. And so weight training and working out and football, those were things that helped get you through that, is what you're saying.
Definitely, mental clear and, stress reliever, I'd say 100%.
Was
able to that effort and, that stress and pain into those things. And it benefited me overall by being able to find those things and to help myself with that.
Right on. Good answers. That's a great answer. You know, if a coach wants to know, what do I not know? That's a pretty good one, bud. That really is. I appreciate that. Appreciate sharing that.
Yeah.
You know, as you move forward, I know you've got a lot of options. I know you got a lot of things, you know, to consider. Sounds like you've got some things figured out. It was major. That's a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything, you know, we talked about something you're looking for in a college, something you're looking for in a football team, things like that. Where do you see yourself? I'm just curious, you know, because I've known you for a long time. And where do you see yourself, you know, 5-10 years from now? You know, what does Brennan's life look like?
I'm hoping to be, you know, start by experiencing things that I maybe can't experience, like maybe, you know, honestly, as well as it is, finding a good job, but then traveling a little bit and just experiencing life by myself, you know, figuring out life and experiencing life, you know, for what it is in total. And not sure what that even means yet, but I'd like to, you know, just experience life to the best.
Well, if you can do that with a college degree in your back pocket, you're ahead of a huge portion of the public.
Exactly.
Yeah, that way when you're done wandering, you know, you can actually come home and get a job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
I have a good established job in 5 to 10 years, and that is what, you know, the goal is and the plan.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, last shot, anything that you want to say to any particular coaches out there? Let's say someone's looking at you right now and they're hearing you live. What do you want to tell them?
Just say, I look forward to being on a great team. So if you got a great team, I'd like to be a part of it.
Excellent. All right. I tell you what, man, that's it. And I really appreciate you sharing the stuff that you did. And, you know, I'm proud of you, man. I really am. You've done a great job. Come a very long way since that little 4th grade guy with the glasses. You know what I mean? And what was that?
My little sports goggles. Yep.
Hey, man, they were awesome. You know, I'm telling you. But you know what? I wish you all the best. I think that you've got a great future ahead of you. And I'm sure someone's going to see this or anything else that you send out, and they're going to contact you, and you're going to keep moving forward. I just have a pretty good feeling about you, bud.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
So thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right. You're good to go. Limbo, one more thing. Anybody who wants to contact you, okay. A lot of coaches are doing this contact stuff through social media. They're following, you know, players, stuff like that. Somebody wants to follow you on social media or, you know, contact you that way or through email. What's the best way for a potential coach or recruiter to reach Brennan Aquila? Let's put that out there.
I would say I would say probably through Twitter. Twitter's probably the best. I've got a lot of, you know, things by myself and my team on there. And it's a pretty new Twitter account, considered it was made last year, but it's what I've been using, and should be Brennan_54. So if you want to find that, Brennan, BRENNAN, and then _54. And that should be, actually it's _9 now because my new number, it was _54 for the longest time. So _9.
I'm glad I waited a minute. Okay.
There you go. But yeah,
so one more time, give it to me one more time, clean for the record. What do you got?
Brennan _9. So that is BRENNAN_9. And that is my Twitter handle that you should be able to find.
Got it. And that's the best way for people to contact you if they want to find out more about you.
Yep.
Excellent, bud. Excellent. All right. Now I will say, hey, man, thanks for being on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's been an experience.
All right. And for those of you who are out there listening, I appreciate you listening to our podcast and checking us out on YouTube. We are Impact Recruiting, and we can be found very easily on Instagram. And our Instagram is at Impact Recruiting Podcast. I know that's like a lot of letters and it's a really long catch, but that's what we had to do. So we're on Instagram. That's the best way to reach us. If you want to talk to any of us, you want to find out more about these, you know, fine young athletes that we're talking to, or if you're an athlete yourself and you're going, hey, how do I get featured on something like this so I can tell my story? Contact us, go through Instagram, hit us there. If it's easier, you can also email us at the exact same handle. And that's impactrecruitingpodcast@gmail.com. So I'll tell you what, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining Brennan and myself today. And I wish you all the best. Until next time.